Hi, and welcome to Think Tech Hawaii. My name is Kim Lau, and this show is called Hawaii Rising. The focus of this show is on people helping people to develop the community and the economy, because that's the only way we'll be able to create a sustainable future for Hawaii. So one of the most impactful ways to understand how an organization or service benefits the community is by client stories and testimonials. We're going to start today's program with reading a couple of testimonials from the Surf Rider Spirit Sessions program. This program matches at-risk youth with volunteer surf mentors. They use surfing as a metaphor for how these youth can live better lives. The first testimonial is by Judge Karen M. Radius, who's a retired family court judge from the Girls Court. She writes, "This letter is to thank the Surf Rider Foundation and Cynthia Y.H. DeRosier, author of The Surfer Spirit, for creating the Surf Rider Spirit Sessions program and for their continuous support for this vital and innovative program. The Spirit Sessions are a wonderful asset to our community, serving the physical and emotional health and well-being of Hawaii's at-risk young women. The Spirit Sessions are spectacular for these young women and have become an integral component of the Hawaii Family Court's Girls Court program. With the help of the Spirit Sessions, the girls learn to overcome their fears, to take risk, to deal with disappointments, and to experience the growth associated with achievement." The second testimonial is from Judge R. Mark Browning. He is currently the Deputy Chief Judge at the Senior Hawaii Family Courts, but he was formerly the presiding Juvenile Drug Court Judge. His testimonial reads, "We, as a community, need to realize that these children belong to all of us. As a community, we owe a debt of gratitude to the wonderful spirit surfing volunteers that give their time to helping our kids change their lives. Without spirit surfing, many of these young people would continue their individual lives of crime, eventually becoming adult offenders. The mission of spirit surfing is one that all of us should embrace, for in doing so, we enrich the future of our state. It is a precious resource that we, as a community, cannot afford to lose." So this program, the Surf Rider Spirit Sessions, was just one of the 8 Fall 2015 grant recipients of the Women's Fund of Hawaii. So today we're going to talk about the Women's Fund of Hawaii. So for instance, this one grant supported girls in the juvenile justice system who are at risk and vulnerable. It allowed this program to provide them with positive women role models, enhancing their self-esteem, their self-confidence, reducing truancy, drug use, and recidivism, and improving overall life skills. This is amazing. So the Women's Fund of Hawaii was first envisioned in 1998 by the then CEO of actually the Hawaii Community Foundation. The original supporters of this idea to create a women's fund shared a vision of creating an expanding resource permanently dedicated to women and girls, because nonprofit agencies that address women's inequalities receive little philanthropic support. In fact, programs that serve women and girls receive only 7.1% of all philanthropic dollars. Finally, in 2005, the Women's Fund of Hawaii became its own nonprofit. They received its 501c3 status, elected a dynamic board of directors, and hired its first executive director. So today we have with us the current executive director of the Women's Fund of Hawaii, Leela Bilmes Goldstein. And we also have Alexina Chai, who is on the board at the Women's Fund of Hawaii, and she's also the co-chair of this year's fundraising event. So welcome, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, it's a pleasure to be here.
Thanks for having us.
So these lovely women can give us a little more statistics on why we need to support nonprofits that are dedicated solely to women and girls. So let's talk about the actual numbers. I think people will find that quite staggering.
Yeah, well, first of all, I mean, a lot of women are doing really well in Hawaii, but there are so many who are still having a hard time, women and girls. For example, 1 in 10 of the women attending University of Hawaii was sexually abused during their college years. Sexual assault is a problem everywhere, not just here. 1 in 7 women in Hawaii has been forcibly raped at some point in her lifetime, which is, I mean, far too many, obviously. In September 2006, the only organization in Hawaii aimed at helping prostitutes escape sexual exploitation closed due to lack of funding. And almost half of all single women with children in Hawaii live in poverty.
Yeah, and so while those statistics are really staggering, what gives us hope is that women really control nearly 30% of the wealth in our state. And so thinking about those, how can we make the best use of those dollars? We really believe with the Women's Fund of Hawaii that in communities where we have stronger women and girls, the whole community thrives. And so we're really trying to find ways to pull together the resources that are available to help tackle some of these challenges that Leela has so eloquently put on our radar.
So again, we're not just helping women. When we fund these type of organizations, we're helping communities, their families, their children.
Absolutely.
Right. Because if you think about it, for example, a mother who, let's say, has had some education and who is successful, what is she going to do? She's going to make sure that her children, including her daughters, I think in this country, you know, in third world countries it's a little different with daughters and sons, but here a successful, strong mother is going to invest in her kids, in their education, and also, frankly, financially in the community. So this is going to strengthen the family, the community is going to be stronger, the society is going to be stronger. It benefits all of us. So our tagline is, when women thrive, communities prosper. And that's what we mean.
Mm-hmm.
And so you are the current executive director of the Women's Fund, and that is your actual job, right? Is that correct?
Yep, that's my job.
And so what does this job entail?
Oh gosh, all sorts of fun things. Well, I get to work with a board of directors, an exquisite board of directors, of which Alexina is a member. And the board is really responsible for the fiduciary health of the organization and making decisions as far as governance and important decisions about how we move forward. I, along with the help of my trusted cohort, Ms. Margaret Welch, just make sure that day-to-day inquiries are being addressed. We're planning not only mostly, I guess, our activities, but we want to keep up with I'll say our constituency, and by that I mean our grantees, because we really want to make sure that they're meeting with success, and we also need to make sure that the programs are going well for both sides, for them to be successful and for us to feel good about our investment, frankly, that, you know, this is a worthwhile thing. This is really moving the needle on empowering girls and or women. You know, this is something that was worthwhile for us.
Mm-hmm.
And why would you choose a job like this? What inspires you? What drives you to work in this nonprofit world?
Well, it's really one of the most meaningful things I've ever done. It's a great feeling to at least believe that I'm helping someone else. Let me see. To quote Maya Angelou, let me get this right. Give me a second. I think she said, "I'm a feminist. I've been female all of my life. It would be stupid not to be on my own side." Mm-hmm. And if you look at, I mean, not just the statistics that we saw, things have just not been equitable, certainly globally, but even in the United States, where we do experience a lot of freedoms and equalities. I mean, one day last week was, I think it was Wage Equity Day. Am I saying that right? Was it Wage Equity Day? Did you know that women make 83 cents for every dollar earned by a man? I mean, you know, that's not fair. Mm-hmm. And as you said earlier, only 7.1% of philanthropic dollars are devoted to programs for women and girls. That's not fair either.
Right.
Why so little?
Mm-hmm.
Especially when, as you know, I described earlier, when you invest in girls, you get a lot of return. Mm-hmm. In fact, it's probably, I believe it's the highest return on investment way to break cycles of poverty.
So this is a very worthwhile thing to dedicate your time and your resources towards.
I think so.
Definitely. And
Yeah.
Alexina, this is not your actual job, is that correct?
That's right.
So
That's right.
what is your actual job, and then why would you choose to be on a board and work so hard with Leela on an issue like this?
Yeah, so my professional life, I work in the field of human resources and really looking at how to help organizations prosper and be successful through their people. And so I see a really direct connection between the skills that I've gained in my professional realm and looking at the goals that Leela has set out for the Women's Fund as well. So how can we really tap into the resources that are available to us to achieve this common mission? And for me, it's important as a member of the board. I heard somebody once say that as a board member, there are 3 things, and she added a fourth, but there are 3 things that you could bring, and they all start with W. So the first is work. You, as a member of the board, you have a responsibility to roll up your sleeves and really contribute something and work for that. The second would be wisdom. So when I think about the skills and expertise that we have on the board, we have attorneys, we have accountants, financial advisors, people from the medical, healthcare profession. Everybody is bringing some skill or area of expertise that can help us in our mission to help these different organizations. The third area is so work, wisdom, wealth, because again, there are financial needs to help support these organizations. And then the fourth that I've heard somebody add is woo, W-O-O, and that's all about connections and making sure that that the word gets out around the organization, the things that we're trying to do. And at any given point in time, you may not be able to give all of these things, but to be really clear on what your role is on the board. Are you here to work? Are you here to bring in the financial resources, make the connections to those that can, bring in the wisdom or wealth? Each of those areas are really important. And for me, as I've progressed in my career, I have found myself lending my skills in different areas. And so for me at this point, I'm just really excited to be able to partner with such a strong board and with Leela and see the impact that we have by donating our time, our financial resources, and our expertise to help move our agenda forward.
And have you found that this was a good way to spend the maybe small amount of extra time that you do have to invest in a program like the Women's Fund of Hawaii or an organization like this?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think the stats that you and Leela both opened up with at the start of the program tell a very sobering story, but it's also very motivating to think that those are the things that we're having an impact on. And we also have great fun. I mean, the board of directors is a very eclectic, successful, accomplished group of women, but we're also very kind and we have a great time together. Leela and I are very good friends, and we spend time together outside of the work that we do as part of the board. And I think just that sense of community, not only are we building a stronger, prosperous community for the state of Hawaii, but I think we ourselves benefit so much from being a part of this mission together. And I could say some of my closest friends are really through the Women's Fund of Hawaii.
That's great. That's so fantastic that you are out there making a difference, but also having such a great time. I mean, most people can't say that about the work that they do every day, right?
Right.
So we're going to take a short break right now, but when we come back, we're going to talk about the Women's Fund and exactly the mission, the values, and the grants that you provide. So thank you again. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Donna Blanchard. My show on Think Tech is Center Stage. I interview artists of all different ilk on the show, and we talk about what they do and how they do it. Those are both really fascinating. What I find most fascinating about all of my interviews is talking to people about why they do what they do, what the process does for us, what the actual artistic process is. I hear all the time from people that they watch the show and they feel inspired. My guests tell me a lot that they feel inspired to go home and create something new and exercise, flex that artistic muscle. And I hope you will too. I hope you'll join us on Wednesdays at 2 o'clock on the Think Tech Hawaii digital series.
Aloha, my name is Carl Kimpania. I am the host of Think Tech Hawaii's Education Movers, Shakers, and Reformers. You can see our show every Wednesday at noon at 12 p.m. on thinktechhawaii.com, as well as visiting YouTube and finding the link for the show there. The show is also aired on OC16. We look forward to seeing you on the show. We have many wonderful guests, including Joan Husted, Corey Rosenlee, where we talk about the very important issues of education for our keiki. We look forward to seeing you there. Mahalo.
If she needs to, but.
Hi, and welcome
You're watching
back.
Think Tech Hawaii, meeting people we may not otherwise have met, helping us understand and appreciate the good things about Hawaii. Great content for Hawaii from Think Tech.
Hi, and welcome back to Think Tech Hawaii. My name is Kim Lau, and this show is called Hawai'i Rising. Today we have Alexina from the Board of Directors at the Women's Fund of Hawaii, and we have Leela Bilmes Goldstein, the Executive Director of the Women's Fund of Hawaii. Thank you so much for being here, and welcome back.
Thank you.
So we're going to move on to talk about the mission and the vision of the Women's Fund of Hawaii. Can you explain a little bit about the mission?
Yes, so we are an organization that really funds grassroots and innovative efforts that help women and girls thrive. And we look at areas that focus on self-esteem, financial security, and health, as well as professional skills and expertise. So we look across the board in different segments of our population. We really start to look at girls at a young age and how we can help them with their health, self-esteem, positive body image. There are other organizations that address women that have fallen on hard times in life and maybe faced incarceration and are now trying to get back on their feet and assimilate back into a profession and start teaching their own children life skills. So it really runs the gamut, but we focus on smaller grassroots organizations that, and when I say grassroots, I mean organizations that are using the funds directly to address these issues. So they're not large organizations that have a lot of overhead or administrative costs. They are really taking the dollars and using them to address the causes and directly help the benefactors of the organizations.
Can you explain, well, I guess, is there any other nonprofit organization in Hawaii that does what the Women's Fund does?
Well, I'll let Leela talk a bit about that because she also focuses on development and she does a fantastic job on bringing the dollars in. But what I think really differentiates us is that, and I can't say that there aren't any other organizations that do this, but what we do is we fund the grants. And so we are bringing the financial resources in so that we can help the other organizations that don't have the scope and breadth to hit the areas that we can hit. So through our board of directors and Leela's work, we're able to cultivate funds and friends that can support the Women's Fund so that we can provide grants to these worthy organizations that otherwise wouldn't have access to the areas that we do.
Did you want to expand on that, Leela?
I was thinking about it. The closest parallel that I can come up with at this moment is maybe like a Hawaii Community Foundation,
Right.
and that's not even the exact match or the exact reflection for what we do. I think what is special about us maybe is our grants committee, our process.
Did you want to talk about the grants and maybe what that process is? And then maybe we can talk more about the grants themselves and the actual organizations that you've supported.
Sure, the process
Yes.
then. So we issue twice a year requests for proposals, RFPs, for grants, once in the spring and then again in the fall. And generally, it's very organic the way it's done. We send an e-blast to our friends, the people on our email list are our friends.
So you have a mailing list for the Women's Fund.
Right, and
Okay.
people join it. We don't just grab your name. You would tell us that you wanted to be on it.
And if anybody out there wanted to be on this list, how would they sign up?
They would go to our website, which is www.womensfundhawaii.org, and there is a button up at the top, and it says, I believe it says, get our newsletter, or join our mailing list.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so a blast would go out to your mailing list.
Right. So we kind of give the sort of warm up, get ready. So for example, this year, towards the end of February, we said the grant cycle, we call it a grant cycle, is going to open on March 1st. And that's the day when the online application becomes available to everybody on our website. And then we give a month, so the due date for all the applications was March 31st at midnight. And at that point, we get our grants and we distribute them to the members of our grants committee. So our grants committee, we're very proud of our grants committees always. It consists of 7 to 11 women. Up to around 4 of them can be board members. I'm on it as a board member. And then the other women are people who are known to us either from networking, or they've been referred, or we've identified them as someone with a particular expertise as far as what's happening in the community. Maybe they've worked in nonprofits before, maybe they have worked with social work or public health, the law, and it's not always the same people. People term off basically after being on the committee for 4 cycles.
Well, that's good. These women are educated on community issues and what's going on.
Exactly.
And who needs help, perhaps. And then they're not always the same people, so the same organizations aren't going to be receiving grants every single time.
Right, and that's, I think, one of the challenges. So sitting on the grants committee is really an eye-opening experience, because you can see we get responses from so many worthy organizations. Mm-hmm. And knowing that these dollars are going to a worthy cause is very empowering. On the flip side, there are many organizations that we need to say no to because we don't have the funding, we don't have the resources available, and each of these organizations in and of themselves are, just like I said, so worthy. They're addressing issues that stand in the way of girls and women's success. So violence, poverty, self-esteem issues, mental, physical illness, discrimination, all sorts of things that are standing in the way. And so when you look at how many worthy organizations there are, it feels wonderful on the one hand to be able to fund these grants, but there is still so much more work to be done.
Yeah, it's true. For every grant that we fund, we have to say no to, well, it depends actually how much money we have at that time to give in grants, but we have to say no to maybe 5 or more organizations depending on the number of applications too.
Right.
Yeah, and by and large, they're worthy proposals, all of them.
Right.
But yeah, so it's a great way. It is a really rewarding experience to be on the grants committee, because that allows, speaking personally, that allows me to see where the need is in Hawaii. And by the way, it's not just Oahu, it's statewide.
Oh, okay.
So we have grantees. We've had a grantee on Molokai, Lanai. It's been a couple years, but we did get an application and they got that. Big Island, Maui, Kauai. So.
Mm-hmm. And so once the grant committee chooses the grant recipients, then they'll be notified, or what's the process after that?
Yeah, we do let them know, and there's an agreement that they enter into with us. You know, an agreement basically saying, you know, we're gonna keep track of how we spend it, and we're gonna tell you, and we're gonna submit a final report. And
so you don't just give them money; they have to be fiduciary. You track their fiduciary responsibilities, right?
Yeah, and as part of their application too, we do ask to let us see your budget. We'd like to know what your annual budget is and what is your budget for this program and where else, because a lot of our grants are, I guess, relatively speaking, sort of modest. They're $5,000 or less, depends on what the applicant has requested. So sometimes their program is going to cost more than $5,000. So we want to know, well, where are you getting the rest of it? And do you have it already? How likely is this thing really
going to happen.
Right, yeah. And so they generally, they being our grantees, are pretty lovely about providing us with photos as well, when they can. I mean, in some cases it's not possible because we're talking about maybe girls who are in a vulnerable situation and we wouldn't want to, you know.
Expose them.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
And then you, as executive director, actually go and check on the grant recipients themselves.
yeah, you know, it is, I guess, checking on them sounds sort of like a policing thing. It's
Form a
not, yeah.
relationship
I
with-
participate,
yeah.
actually, I participate. So for example, Surfrider Spirit Sessions, I was lucky enough, I'm not even sure if I told you this, I went and joined in one of the Spirit Sessions on Saturday, and so I got to go surfing.
That is so
Yeah.
great.
And so that, you did tell a little bit about that at the
Right,
beginning,
that's the
Kim.
program that we spoke, that we read the testimonials from
Right.
in the beginning of the program, and you actually went to the
And
program
I actually
and
went to the
participated.
program. So what I can tell you about Surfrider Spirit Sessions and their relationship with us is that they've just received a grant in the fall from us. It was the second one. The first one they got, I believe, it was before my tenure as executive director, but I believe it was at the very beginning when they were a nascent organization. And the Women's Fund at that time believed in them and gave them money, and they got going. So we're proud of that, and they got another grant, and I went and joined in, and the girls are doing great. It's an 8-week program. This is somewhere before the end of the 8 weeks, but the girls who were there, they had a chance to be with women who are role models, to experience caring, you know, from people who were strangers a mere 6 weeks ago, and go out and connect with nature and get that rush that if anybody who's ever caught a wave knows what that's like, right? And spend some time with other girls their age and their mentors, women who are doing interesting things in the community.
So the $5,000 that the Women's Fund was able to grant the Surfrider
Spirit
Sessions
yeah.
program has gone a long way for these women and these young girls, and you've actually seen that impact.
Yeah,
That's
I'd like to
amazing.
think it has gone a long way. Yeah.
So we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll talk more about the other programs that the Women's Fund of Hawaii supports. Thank you.
Aloha, I'm Kaui Lucas, host of Hawaii is My Mainland, here on Think Tech Hawaii every Friday at 3 p.m. We address issues of importance for those of us who live here on the most isolated landmass on the planet. Please come join me Fridays at 3 p.m. Mahalo.
Aloha, I'm Kili'i Akina, president of the Grassroot Institute and host on Ehana Kako, a weekly program on the Think Tech Hawaii broadcast network. Ehana Kako means let's work together. Think of the sad alternative, let's not work together. Here in Hawaii, with all of our diversity and the richness of the people, it's important for us to come together around issues on the basis of what's right and what's good and what's going to serve the common good. And that's what we try to do at Ehana Kako. Every week, we interview movers and shakers, people in government, business, and other sectors of society to talk about how to create together a better government, economy, a better world here in Hawaii that can bless the rest of the world. I thank you for your attention to Think Tech Hawaii, and we look forward to seeing you every Monday, 2 to 3 p.m. on the Think Tech Hawaii broadcast network. We're Ehana Kako, and we wish you well. Aloha.
You're watching Think Tech Hawaii, offering lifelong learning from passionate hosts and fascinating guests ready to explore and explain Hawaii's place in the 21st century. Great content for Hawaii from Think Tech.
Hi, and welcome back to Think Tech Hawaii. My name is Kim Lau, and today we're with the Women's Fund of Hawaii, Alexina Chai from the Board of Directors, and Leela Bilmes Goldstein, the Executive Director. Thank you again for being here. So we're going to talk a little bit about a couple more grants that the Women's Fund has provided in the last year or so, and the impact that the money from the Women's Fund has had on these nonprofit organizations and the women and girls that they support.
Sure. May I? One of my favorites actually is Ahahui Malama I Kalokahi. This is a really small grassroots program, and they work with incarcerated women from WCCC, Windward Community Correctional Center. And the curriculum is to provide a cultural and, I guess, environmental experience. The inmates, and I did this along with my office colleague. So we went together, and 10 of the women came from WCCC with their CO, and we met at a cultural site on Kawai Nui Marsh. And I'm so sorry, I can't remember what it's called, but it's a beautiful Hawaiian name. So we started out by, well, first of all, we were introduced to the women as people who made the program possible, and we're quite honored to have been presented that way. And the women were all very thankful. And one woman asked me, one of the inmates asked me, "Oh, have you ever been here before? Have you ever done this program?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Oh, you go in ugly and you come out beautiful." And that was so touching to me, that experience just had meant that much to her. She had done it before. But so we entered this site, and it was explained to us why this was significant for Hawaiian culture. And the leader talked about the place we were at, and we could see Kailua, and he gave a bit of a history of the marshlands, and he pointed out different things like this stone, a big boulder, and it was carved out. There was a depressed area, and that was on purpose because when it rains, it fills with water. And then the Hawaiians, instead of craning their heads like this to study the stars, could look in the reflection.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And so then the education sort of pivoted towards the plants, in which were the native species, and there was a particular palm, which there were only 4 of them here. They're not natively, but more from Lanai, and which ones were the invasive species. And then it was our job to get rid of the invasive species. So that's what we did. We started weeding, and there were some of the women who had weed whackers, and just to keep the area accessible and looking beautiful. And just talking to the women, it was, I think that probably when you're incarcerated, you really appreciate the chance to get outside and connect with the Aina.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So
this was one of the few chances that they actually got.
Right.
And being a part of a program like this is so impactful for those women. Changes their perceptions, changes their mindset, of who they are, how they see themselves, their place in life too.
Yeah, and there was one woman who I had the occasion to chat with while we were weeding, and she was really nervous because she was going to get out in 4 months. And I said, "Well, how long have you been in here?" And she said 21 years, which was, and she's younger than me, and it was about half of her life. And so we talked about, what she was thinking would be different, and she was nervous about different things than I thought she would. It was the technology, actually, and it occurred to me, well, she, maybe
Missed all that.
use an iPhone or have an iPhone or has seen an iPhone. So,
Email.
yeah, right.
Wow, that's amazing, the impact of the Women's Fund on programs such as those.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, I got something out of it too. I enjoyed being there, but I also really was so grateful to have had these conversations, to have met these women and different, learned a little bit about what they were going through. So that one's one of my favorites.
So, in talking of your support for all these programs, how do you get the money for these grants themselves? Did you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure.
Yes. Well, one way is through our annual fundraiser, which is the Tea and Champagne, and that is coming up this Monday, May 16th. So that will be at the beautiful location, the Pacific Club location downtown, and it runs from 5 to 9. And in addition to really bringing in the funds to fund these grants that Leela has spoken about, it's just a really delightful evening of women and men enjoying a nice night of tea, champagne, dinner, and we have some wonderful local restaurants that have donated desserts. And Chef Chai, Roy's, Pili Place, Tango, a lot of really great local restaurants and chefs that have donated. And then we have a lucky draw event. So various prizes. Mike Field, who's a great artist, has donated something. Ala Moana has been very generous in donating a number of things. Kate Spade, all sorts of different vendors and merchants that have donated. And so we've really got a great evening in store, and we'll be spending some time together eating, auctioning off some of these great prizes, but most importantly, raising funds so that we can fund these grants during the 2 cycles that we have each year.
And if anybody wanted to attend this event, how would they go about buying a table or signing up to buy individual seats, perhaps?
Well, we have a website for the event. The event is so special it gets its own site. And the site is tea&champagne/swellgives, swell like gee that's swell, gives.com. And once someone gets to our site, it should be pretty clear. There are buttons for buying tickets or buying a table, or if you think what we're doing is great and you can't make it but you want to support us, there's a button to donate there as
And
well.
what can people or individuals or companies donate for this event?
Well, we've started, so every year we put a call out around January for different items, including the desserts and the lucky draw items. So we're pretty set for that this year. We will always accept donations for next year, but I think at this point in time, really it's providing the financial resources. So buying the tickets in and of itself, there's a donation, part of that is made to the organization, but then just opening up your checkbook, swiping your credit card, bringing your cash, those are really the things that we're looking for at this point in time, because we are going to be getting ready for our next grant cycle, and we'll have information about the different grantee organizations that we funded, as well as some that we're really hoping to fund in the future. So if you come to the event, you'll learn a lot more about these organizations, the great causes that we're supporting, and have a nice evening with a great meal, decadent desserts, tea, champagne, and great company.
And again, the money that people donate or they use to buy tickets for this event will be used for grants from the Women's Fund of Hawaii to specific non-for-profits dedicated to women and girls, and they will go directly to these nonprofits for use in their programs.
Well, some of them, as much as possible,
Right.
we do dedicate them towards the grants, but also to support our organization as well. So,
But the
Yeah,
money will go
That's
towards...
right.
yeah.
The money is going to allow us to fund these grants
Right.
to the organizations. And the event is actually a very popular event, so we do sell out. And so we still have tickets and tables available, and you can go onto the site that Leela mentioned to buy a table. There are different levels of sponsorship, or you can just purchase a ticket, rally a group of people. You can all buy your own individual tickets, and then during the evening there will be opportunities for you to donate as well. So we're looking forward to a really fun event. My co-chair Robin Tucker and I have pulled together a great committee of volunteers, and it's sure to be a really fun evening.
Nice. And if people wanted to get involved with the Women's Fund in general, or volunteer, or donate in general, how might they go about doing that? On the website as well? Or?
yeah, that would be the easiest way, just to go to our website, womensfundhawaii.org, and there is a way to send me a message, or if people want to remember info@womensfundhawaii.org, that comes to us, and we would love to hear from people who want to be part of what we're trying to accomplish.
Women and men, because as Leela said, when in communities where women and girls thrive, the communities prosper. And so we all have a vested interest in helping our women and girls to succeed. So we welcome any and all support from our communities.
And you actually have some men volunteering for your event this year, right?
We do.
So it's not just women that can participate and volunteer and come and help out.
That's
right.
exactly right.
That's
Yeah,
right.
we're grateful to everybody, regardless of their gender, for their interest in helping women and girls to meet their fullest potential, and who are interested in social justice, basically.
Right.
All right, so our program is about to end, but is there any last words that you'd like to share with the audience today, or any message?
I just thank you for raising awareness for this very worthy organization and taking the time to spend with us. It's really been an honor to be with you.
Thank you for coming. I'm so glad to have you here today.
Yeah, we're very grateful for the opportunity to tell you and your viewers what we're doing, and we welcome their participation. And anybody who wants more information on Women's Fund of Hawaii should not hesitate to get in touch with us.
So thank you very much, Leela and Alexina from the Women's Fund of Hawaii, for being here on the program today. Again, my name is Kim Lau. This program is called Hawai'i Rising. Thank you so much.
You're watching Think Tech Hawaii, 25 talk shows by 25 dedicated hosts every week, helping us explore and understand the issues and events in and affecting our state. Great content for Hawaii from Think Tech.